My name is Nora, and at 68, life should be peaceful after 4 decades of teaching elementary school in Connecticut. My beach house in Cape Cod was supposed to be my sanctuary after losing Robert 2 years ago. But when I arrived for my summer stay, I found my daughter-in-law, Amanda, had moved her entire family in. The words she spat at me still echo in my mind. "We don't have space here, you old parasite. Leave, in my own house that I worked my entire life to own." Before I tell you how my own family tried to steal my sanctuary, let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever had to stand up for yourself against someone who thought they could walk all over you. I never imagined retirement would bring such betrayal. After teaching third graders for 40 years in the same school district, I thought I had earned some peace. Robert and I had planned our golden years meticulously. We saved, we invested wisely, and 10 years ago, we finally purchased our dream beach house in Cape Cod. It was a charming 3-bedroom cottage with weathered blue shingles and a wraparound porch that offered the most breathtaking view of the Atlantic. Robert and I spent every summer there hosting clam bakes, reading on the porch swing and falling asleep to the sound of waves. He would wake early to fish while I prepared breakfast. Those quiet mornings watching the sunrise together were sacred. When cancer took him 2 years ago, that beach house became my lifeline, filled with memories of our love. My son Michael had always been close to his father. At 42, he had built a successful career as an architect, married Amanda, and given me 2 wonderful grandchildren, Sophie and Lucas. I adored those kids. Sophie was 14 and reminded me so much of myself at her age, nose always in a book. 10-year-old Lucas had Robert's curious mind and kind heart. When I first met Amanda 8 years ago, we got along wonderfully. She was thoughtful, bringing me flowers on my birthday and calling regularly to check in. But something shifted after Robert died. The warm calls became less frequent, and when we did speak, she often steered conversations toward my finances or properties. "That house in Hartford is so big for just one person, Nora," she would say. "Have you thought about downsizing?" The past winter had been difficult for me. Arthritis flared in my knees, and bronchitis kept me housebound for months. I hadn't visited the beach house since the previous fall, but with summer approaching and my health improving, I longed for the healing power of the ocean air. The beach house held so many personal touches that made it special. Robert had built the bookshelves in the living room himself. We had carefully chosen each piece of furniture together, from the overstuffed blue couch to the driftwood coffee table. The kitchen still had his collection of fishing-themed mugs hanging from hooks. Legally, the house was entirely mine now, as Robert had made sure everything was properly documented before he passed, knowing it would be my sanctuary. I packed my suitcase with excitement, including the new mystery novels I'd been saving for vacation reading. I had plans to renovate the small garden, adding Robert's favorite hydrangeas along the fence. After months of being cooped up, I couldn't wait for the solitude and peace that only came from watching waves roll in from my porch. The drive to Cape Cod that day was beautiful. June sunshine filtered through trees as I made my way along familiar roads, windows down to smell the increasingly salty air. My spirits lifted with each mile, the weight of grief temporarily suspended by anticipation. I stopped at Wilson's Market near the beach to stock up on groceries. Mrs. Wilson, who had owned the place for 30 years, greeted me warmly. "Nora, how wonderful to see you back. Your family has been keeping busy at the house." I paused, shopping basket in hand. "My family? Yes. Such lovely grandchildren you have. They come in for ice cream almost every afternoon. Your daughter-in-law bought 3 dozen eggs yesterday for what she said was a big family breakfast." Confusion clouded my excitement, but I smiled politely and continued shopping, thinking perhaps Michael and his family had used the house for a weekend getaway. They had their own key for emergencies, after all. As I turned onto my street, I noticed multiple unfamiliar cars parked in and around my driveway. Children's bicycles leaned against the porch railing. Colorful beach towels hung from the porch banister. Pop music drifted from inside, accompanied by laughter and the clattering of dishes. My hands tightened on the steering wheel as I parked on the street. Carrying one bag of groceries, I made my way up the shell-lined path, stepping over scattered toys. Before I could find my key, the door swung open. Amanda stood there, her expression transforming from casual welcome to shock in an instant. "Nora, what are you doing here?" Her voice was unnaturally high. "This is my house," I replied, the statement sounding bizarre even to my own ears. "I always come for the summer." Amanda blocked the doorway, her slim figure preventing my entry. Behind her, I glimpsed unfamiliar faces turning toward the commotion. We thought you were staying in Connecticut this year. Michael said your doctor advised against travel." I frowned. My doctor did no such thing. I spoke with Michael last month and told him I was planning to come in June as always. Reluctantly, she stepped aside, allowing me into my own home. What I saw stopped me cold. The furniture had been rearranged completely. My coastal-themed decorations had been replaced with modern art pieces I'd never seen before. Photos of Robert and me were missing from the mantel, replaced by pictures of Amanda's family. 2 older adults I recognized as Amanda's parents sat comfortably on my couch. Amanda's sister and brother-in-law occupied the window seat where I used to read. 3 children I didn't recognize played a board game on the dining table. The house smelled of unfamiliar cooking and someone else's perfume. "What is going on here?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "We've been using the house," Amanda said simply. "Michael said it was fine since you weren't." I set down my grocery bag and pulled out my phone. Michael answered on the 4th ring. "Mom, what's up?" His casual tone suggested no awareness of my situation. "Michael, I'm at the beach house. Why is Amanda's entire family here?" A long pause followed. "Oh, you went down there. I thought we discussed you staying in Hartford this summer." "We never discussed any such thing. This is my house, Michael. I told you weeks ago I was coming." His voice lowered. "Amanda's parents needed a place to stay while their condo is being renovated. It seemed wasteful to leave the beach house empty when family could use it. For how long have they been here? Another pause. Just a few weeks. From the settled look of things and Mrs. Wilson's comments, I knew this was a lie. I need to call you back, he said quickly. I'm heading into a meeting. The line went dead before I could respond. I turned back to Amanda, who stood with arms crossed. I'd like to put my things in my bedroom, I said, trying to maintain dignity despite my trembling hands. That's where my parents are staying, she replied. All the bedrooms are full, actually. Sophie and Lucas are in the guest room and we're in the master. My sister and her family are using the pull-out couch. This is my house, I repeated, hearing the desperation in my voice. Where am I supposed to sleep? Amanda's expression hardened. Look, everyone's settled. We have the kids enrolled in local summer programs. My parents just got comfortable. You showing up unannounced is inconvenient for everyone. Unannounced. To my own home. I tried to move toward the hallway to see my bedroom, but Amanda stepped in my path. We don't have space here, you old parasite. Leave, she hissed quietly enough that her parents couldn't hear, but loud enough to stop me in my tracks. The word parasite struck like a physical blow. I stumbled backward, grabbing the wall for support. Never in my life had I been spoken to with such venom, especially not in the home I had worked decades to afford. I managed to push past her to see my bedroom. The door was ajar enough to reveal that all traces of my existence had been erased. My quilted bedspread was gone, replaced by an unfamiliar floral comforter. Robert's nightstand had been moved to make way for a vanity that wasn't mine. Even the walls had been repainted from the soft blue I loved to a stark white. Fighting back tears, I retreated to my car, driving in a daze to the Oceanside Inn where Robert and I had stayed while renovating the beach house years ago. The sympathetic desk clerk recognized me and offered a discounted room. Alone in the sterile hotel space, I finally let the tears flow freely. That night at the hotel was one of the longest of my life. Sleep eluded me as I called Michael repeatedly, each call going straight to voicemail. Around midnight, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone, landing on one from Sophie's 10th birthday. We were all there, Robert still healthy, Michael smiling proudly, even Amanda with her arm around my waist. What had happened to that family? Morning brought no clarity, but it did bring determination. After a tasteless continental breakfast, I drove back to my beach house. This time I didn't bother knocking. I used my key and walked straight in. The house was quieter than yesterday. Amanda sat at the kitchen island with her sister, coffee cups between them. They hadn't heard me enter. The old hag actually thought she could just walk in and take over, Amanda was saying, after we've been here for months. Has she signed those papers Michael prepared? Her sister asked. Not yet, but we're working on it. Michael says she's been emotional since his dad died, and she'll do anything for the grandkids. We just need to make her realize how much better it is for everyone if this becomes our family vacation home officially. The coffee mug in my hand slipped, clattering against the hardwood floor. Both women spun around. How long have you been standing there? Amanda demanded, her face flushing. Long enough, I replied. my voice steadier than I expected. What papers is Michael preparing for me to sign? Amanda's sister quickly excused herself, slipping past me with averted eyes. You should talk to Michael about that, Amanda said, recovering her composure. I've been trying to. He won't answer my calls. He'll be here this afternoon. You can discuss it then. I spent the next hour walking through my own house like a stranger, noting all the changes. Mail piled on the sideboard caught my attention. Bills, magazines, and letters addressed to Amanda and Michael at my beach house, addressed some dating back to March. This was no temporary arrangement. In what used to be my office, I found financial documents carelessly left in a folder. Mortgage calculations for the beach house, estimates for renovations, and, disturbingly, a draft of a property transfer document with blank spaces where my signature would go. When Michael finally arrived around 2 o'clock, Amanda had gathered her entire family in the living room like a united front. My son barely met my eyes as he gave me a brief, awkward hug. Mom, I think we need to talk about some practical arrangements. He began, his professional architect voice in place. Amanda and I have been discussing our family's needs. Your family's needs? What about my needs? Michael, this is my home. Mom, you don't need this big house anymore. We have a growing family. He gestured to his children and in-laws. It makes more sense for us to use it regularly rather than letting it sit empty most of the year. It doesn't sit empty. I live here every summer and I visit regularly in the off-season too. But you have your house in Hartford, he countered. Amanda's parents are looking to relocate permanently to the Cape. This would be perfect for them. I looked at Amanda's parents, who at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Amanda, however, wore a smug expression that made my blood boil. So you want me to give away my house, the house your father and I worked our entire lives to afford? The house that holds all my memories of him. Not give away, Michael said smoothly. Transfer to family who can use it fully. We'd still let you visit, of course. The casual "let you visit" broke something inside me. I walked to the large picture window overlooking the ocean, Robert's favorite spot in the house. The familiar view was now partially blocked by unfamiliar furniture. I've spoken to the neighbors, I said quietly. They told me you've all been here since early spring, claiming to be taking care of things for me. Michael shifted uncomfortably. We have been taking care of things. By removing my photographs, by repainting my bedroom, by going through my personal files to find property documents. Mom, you're getting emotional. We should discuss this when you're calmer. I am perfectly calm, I replied, though my voice shook. And I want all of you out of my house by tomorrow. The room erupted. Amanda began arguing loudly. Her parents murmured to each other, and the children looked confused and upset. My granddaughter Sophie watched with tears in her eyes from the corner. That's not going to happen, Mom, Michael said firmly. We're established here now. The kids are in programs Amanda's parents have already given notice on their condo. You need to be reasonable. Reasonable. You've moved an entire extended family into my house without permission planned to have me sign over my property. And I'm the unreasonable one. Michael took my arm, leading me toward the door. I think you should go back to your hotel for now. Until things calm down, we can talk tomorrow. I found myself, once again, standing outside my own home, this time escorted out by my own son, while Amanda's family watched. The last thing I saw before the door closed was Sophie's tearful face and Lucas being told by his mother that Grandma isn't feeling well. Back in my hotel room, I finally broke down completely. I sobbed until no more tears would come, feeling utterly betrayed and alone. I was 68 years old, a widow, being thrown out of my own property by the family that should have protected me. For hours I lay curled on the bed replaying events and wondering where I had gone wrong as a mother. Had I spoiled Michael? Had I missed signs of Amanda's true nature? I thought about what Robert would do in this situation. He had always been the stronger one, the one who stood up to injustice. I could almost hear his voice. Nora never let anyone take advantage of your kindness. Not even family. Especially not family. As the shock began to fade, certain memories surfaced with new clarity. Amanda commenting that my Hartford house was too big for one person, shortly after Robert's funeral. Michael's vague references to investment troubles last Christmas. Amanda's pointed questions about my will when she helped me organize papers after my bout with bronchitis. The beach house had always been a point of interest for them, with Amanda often mentioning how perfect it would be for family gatherings and how the grandchildren deserved a place at the beach. I had always interpreted these comments as enthusiasm for family time. Now, I recognized them as the groundwork for what was happening. I thought about Amanda's parents, whom I'd only met a few times at family gatherings. They had recently retired and sold their home in Boston, temporarily living in a condo while deciding where to settle. Apparently, they had decided on my beach house without consulting me. That evening, staring at the generic hotel wallpaper, I reached my lowest point. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe a grandmother should willingly give up her property for the next generation. Maybe at my age, I should accept being pushed aside. My phone rang, startling me from my spiral of self-doubt. It was Barbara, my friend since childhood, who lived in Boston. Nora, I tried calling your Hartford number and got worried when there was no answer. Are you at the beach house? Through tears, I explained the situation. Those entitled brats, she exclaimed. Robert would be furious. You worked too hard for that house to let them steal it from you. But what can I do? It's my son, my grandchildren. This isn't about being a good mother or grandmother. This is about standing up for yourself against people trying to take advantage of you. Would you let strangers treat you this way? Her outrage restored my perspective. After we hung up, I found myself opening my bedside drawer where I kept a few personal items I'd managed to grab. Among them was a letter Robert had written me on our last anniversary, before his diagnosis, expressing his wishes for our beach house legacy. This place is our reward, Nora, he had written. The tangible result of years of hard work. Someday it will go to Michael, but only when the time is right, when he has learned to appreciate what it truly represents. Until then, promise me you'll enjoy every sunrise and sunset, here living fully in the home we created together. I fell asleep, with the letter clutched to my chest, resolved that tomorrow would be different. I woke with unprecedented clarity. The beach house wasn't just property. It represented everything Robert and I had worked for. It was the embodiment of our love and sacrifice. No one had the right to take that from me, not even my son. My first call was to my bank. I wasn't surprised to learn there had been inquiries about my accounts from someone claiming to be helping with my finances. Fortunately, the bank had required in-person verification, which hadn't happened. I immediately added extra security measures to all my accounts. Next, I called Janet, a retired attorney who had been in my book club for years. She listened attentively to my situation. "This is elder abuse, Nora. Plain and simple," she declared. "And legally, you have every right to evict them from your property." Janet agreed to accompany me to the beach house the following day. She advised me to document everything and gather all my property records. I spent the morning driving to the town hall to get copies of property tax records and the original deed, which thankfully was in my name alone after Robert's passing. I found Robert's will in my files, which specifically stated his intention for the beach house to remain mine until my death. I photographed the exterior of the house, showing all the vehicles parked there. I spoke with neighbors who provided written statements, confirming that Amanda and her family had been living there for months, often speaking about their plans to make it their permanent residence. That night, I rehearsed what I would say. I practiced setting boundaries with Michael. I prepared myself for Amanda's manipulation. Most difficult was accepting that my relationship with my son might never recover from this confrontation. As I laid out my clothes for the next day, I thought about my grandchildren. Sophie and Lucas were innocent in all this. Would they understand? Would this damage my relationship with them? The uncertainty was painful, but I couldn't let fear of losing them prevent me from standing up for myself. I barely slept that night, alternating between righteous anger and profound sadness. By morning, both emotions had settled into firm resolve. Today, I would reclaim what was mine. Janet arrived at my hotel early, professional in a navy suit, despite the casual beach setting. We were joined by Officer Daniels, a local policeman Janet had arranged to accompany us to keep the peace. I clutched a folder containing all my documentation as we drove to the beach house. When we arrived, the property looked much as it had the day before, littered with toys and beach equipment. This time, I didn't hesitate at the door. I unlocked it and walked in Janet and Officer Daniels behind me. Amanda was in the kitchen feeding her nephew. She froze mid-motion when she saw us. "What is this? Who are these people?" she demanded, her voice bringing Michael rushing from the back of the house. "Mom, what's going on?" His confidence faltered at the sight of Officer Daniels. "Michael, Amanda," I began, my voice steady. "This is my attorney, Janet Coleman, and Officer Daniels from the Cape Cod Police Department. I am here to formally request that you and your extended family vacate my property within 24 hours. Amanda's face contorted with anger. "You can't do that. We live here now." Janet stepped forward. "Mrs. Wilson has provided me with documentation proving her sole ownership of this property. There is no lease agreement with any of you, making you unauthorized occupants. Should you refuse to leave voluntarily, We are prepared to begin formal eviction proceedings immediately. Mom has been confused since Dad died, Michael said to Officer Daniels, ignoring me completely. She forgets things. We've been taking care of the property for her. I opened my folder and removed the property deed tax records and recent bank statements. I am of sound mind, as my regular doctor would confirm. This house is legally mine alone, and I have never given permission for permanent residence to anyone. Officer Daniels reviewed my documents and nodded. These appear in order. I need to see identification to confirm you are indeed Nora Wilson. I provided my driver's license, which he compared to the property records. By now, Amanda's parents had joined us, looking uncomfortable. Her mother nervously twisted her wedding ring. "We thought this was all arranged," she said quietly. "Amanda told us you had agreed to let us stay long-term." "I never agreed to any such thing," I replied firmly. "I was never even asked." The next hour was chaos. Amanda alternated between tears and accusations, claiming I was destroying the family and depriving my grandchildren of their summer home. Michael attempted to negotiate, suggesting I allow them to stay through the summer. Then they would discuss permanent arrangements. "There is nothing to discuss," I said. "This is my home. I decide who stays here and for how long." Amanda's family began packing reluctantly. Her father apologized to me quietly, while her mother avoided eye contact entirely. Amanda's sister and her family left first, giving me a wide berth. As Amanda's parents loaded their car, Sophie broke away from her mother and ran to me, throwing her arms around my waist. "Grandma, I'm sorry," she whispered. "I told Mom we should have asked you first. I knew it wasn't right." I hugged her tightly, tears threatening. "This isn't your fault, sweetheart." Amanda yanked her away. "Sophie, get in the car. We're going to get a hotel until we figure this out." Michael approached me last, his expression a mixture of anger and, I hoped, shame. "This isn't over, Mom," he said quietly. "You've chosen property over family today." "No, Michael. You chose entitlement over respect. There's a difference." As they drove away, several neighbors who had been discreetly watching from their porches came over to offer support. Mrs. Davis from next door brought over a casserole and told me how uncomfortable she'd been watching Amanda's family take over, but not knowing if it was with my blessing. That night, I walked through my reclaimed house alone. The place felt hollow, somehow violated. Family photos that had been removed were found stuffed in closets. Robert's favorite chair had a broken leg. The garden I had planned to work on had been paved over for additional parking. I sat on the porch swing, watching the sunset over the ocean. The victory felt bittersweet. I had my house back, but at what cost to my family? The weeks that followed were a mixture of reclaiming my space and mourning what had been lost. I spent days restoring the house to its original state, repainting walls, repositioning furniture, and replacing damaged items. The physical work provided an outlet for my emotional turmoil. Michael's communication was limited to terse text messages about collecting remaining items. Amanda made her feelings known through passive-aggressive social media posts about toxic family members and selfish older generations. I blocked her accounts for my own peace of mind. The unexpected bright spot came when Michael reluctantly allowed Sophie and Lucas to visit on weekends. Amanda refused to bring them, so a kind neighbor who lived near their hotel would drive them over. During those visits, I was careful never to speak ill of their parents, despite Sophie's pointed questions about why her mother was so angry. Sometimes adults make mistakes too, was all I would say. But I will always be your grandmother, and this will always be a place you can visit. Initially, I struggled with loneliness and self-doubt. Had I overreacted? Should I have found a compromise? I sought help from a therapist who specialized in family estrangement and elder issues. Dr. Marshall helped me recognize that standing up for myself wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Healthy boundaries aren't just good for you, she explained. They ultimately teach others how to treat you properly. I channeled my energy into rebuilding the garden that had been destroyed. Each plant represented healing, each flower a small victory. I joined the local community center and made new friends who knew nothing of my family drama. I volunteered at the library reading to children during summer programs which eased the ache of limited time with my own grandchildren. 3 months after the confrontation, something unexpected happened. Michael showed up alone on my doorstep. "Can we talk?" he asked, none of his earlier confidence evident. Over coffee on the porch, he revealed that he and Amanda had been having problems for some time. Her scheme to take over the beach house had been more calculated than I realized. She had been the one intercepting my calls and messages to Michael, editing what information reached him. "I'm not making excuses," he said, staring into his mug. "I knew enough to know better. I just didn't want to see it. Things haven't been good financially, and this seemed like an easy solution." Taking something that doesn't belong to you is never an easy solution, Michael. It's just wrong. He nodded. Dad would be ashamed of me. We sat in silence watching the waves. This wasn't instant reconciliation, but it was a start. In the months that followed, I took practical steps to protect myself. I updated my will with clear directives about the beach house. I created a trust that would ensure Sophie and Lucas could enjoy the property after I was gone, but with trustees to prevent any one person from taking control. Michael and I slowly rebuilt our relationship. Amanda remained distant, but I maintained my connection with my grandchildren, which was what mattered most to me. By Christmas, Michael visited without Amanda bringing the children for a holiday weekend that reminded me of happier times. The beach house once again became my sanctuary, but now I appreciated it with newfound awareness of its value, not just financially, but emotionally. I made new memories there, hosting book club meetings, entertaining new friends, and enjoying visits from Barbara, who had been my rock throughout the ordeal. Sometimes the people who should love you most can hurt you deepest. I learned that family relationships don't entitle anyone to take advantage of your generosity or property. I discovered strength I never knew I had, standing up for myself when it would have been easier to give in. Robert would be proud of me. That thought brings me comfort on difficult days. If there's one thing I hope you take from my story, It's that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Age doesn't diminish your right to respect and autonomy. Property and possessions aside, your dignity is worth fighting for. Have you ever had to stand up to family who tried to take advantage of your kindness? Please share your experiences in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to hear more life lessons from those of us who have learned them the hard way. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can say is simply, "No, this is mine."